Good morning, friends, and welcome to Adult Story Time this morning. This is the last story time of the year. We're glad throughout the year that you have joined us for various story times. Today, we're going to do one last story reading from the book Christmas Remembered by Tomie dePaola. And the story that we're going to actually read today is called The First Television Christmas. And I'm sure there are those of you out there that can remember when you got your first television. How about share some thoughts or memories about that in the comments section of this video? The first television Christmas. After the war, my father worked as a salesman for Ader Brothers liquor distributor. The company had contests to encourage the salesmen to sell, sell, sell. The month they had won to see who could distribute the most cases of Imperial blended whiskey, my father won. The prize was $1,000 or a television set. I'm sure the money could have gone a long way in 1947. My father earned about $4,000 a year, but we had a car, we owned our own home, and we always had food on the table. My Irish grandparents owned a grocery store in Wallingford. I took tap dancing lessons, and Flossie and Joe were always having parties at our house. So what did we know? Of course, my father chose the television set. The first thing I did was to read all about television in the Book of Knowledge, encyclopedias, which had a place of honor on a shelf in what had been our garage until it was renovated and became the Naughty Pine Room. That is, until the RCA technicians arrived to hook up the second set in all of Meriden. The other set was in the showroom of an appliance store downtown. The Naughty Pine Room quickly became the TV room. I remember coming home from junior high on Wednesday, December 3rd, to find a tall metal tower complete with guy wires and spokes sticking up on the roof of our house. Flossie was looking at it in tears. "It's ruined our lovely house," Flossie complained. "The workmen kept adding and adding to it. It's 50 feet high. Just wait until your father gets home." I thought it was exciting. I ran inside and went right to the Naughty Pine Room. And there, against the back wall, was the new set, looking gargantuan, even though the screen was about the size of my fishbowl. Cleopatra, my fish, lived in it. She had a fantail body about the size of a 50-cent piece, and her tail was bigger than her body and floated languidly around like some exotic dancer's veil. The television technicians had been getting short shrift from Flossie. They turned to me, looking relieved. "Hey, kid, can we show you how to tune in the set?" They told me that the RCA set was the top of the line. The 12-inch picture tube was the biggest available, and it had the new RCA Golden Throat sound system, the finest tone system in RCA Victor history. And even though you're 100 miles from New York, you can get 2 channels pretty good, they said. Channel 4, NBC, and Channel 5, Dumont. Channel 2 was iffy because CBS doesn't have programs on except for weekends, they said, switching to Channel 2. The screen looked like a blizzard scene from Nanook of the North. That was why they called TV interference snow. I knew that the nearest broadcast came all the way from New York City, 100 miles away, because no television transmission towers existed between Meriden and the Empire State Building in New York. Unlike radio waves, which followed the curve of the earth, television traveled in a straight line. I listened, watched, tried, succeeded, and was given the official title of TV tuner. They gave me the instruction book, packed up their tools, apologized to Flossie for ruining her beautiful house, and left. I immediately sat down and began to read. I always, and still do, read the instruction books that come along with appliances or gadgets, even though it can be daunting and sometimes funny when the instructions have been translated into English by someone in the country that made the equipment. My father told us that on Friday night, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber and heavyweight champion of the world, was going to fight Jersey Joe Walcott live from Madison Square Garden, and it was going to be televised. Flossie and Joe immediately invited all their friends to come and watch the fight. The only other place in Meriden to see the fight was at the appliance store. They had advertised in the 2 newspapers that they were giving out free tickets, but they had limited space. Word got around fast that the dePaolas had a television, but we don't know them. They're Democrats. I understand she's Irish and he's Italian. But none of that mattered on the night of December 5th. I was sitting on the floor next to the television, ready to tune in the fight. Our friends had settled in the folding chairs my father had set up in the TV room and were enjoying the food and drink they had brought when the doorbell rang. My father opened the door, and standing there were complete strangers laden with pizzas, Coca-Cola, beer, ice cream, brownies, and donuts. They had come to watch the fight on our television. Flossie and Joe welcomed them in and brought them out to the TV room. Everyone crowded in, and I tuned in the fight. We were all riveted to the screen, watching Joe Louis stalking Jersey Joe Walcott, who was walking backward around the ring for 15 rounds. Joe Louis got knocked down twice, but there was no knockout. No one cared. Even though it was a split decision, Joe Louis kept his title. Everyone in the room cheered at as the referee bellowed, "Joe Louis, still heavyweight champion of the world." I tell this story because the new television played a romantic part in my life that Christmas Eve. I was in 8th grade, and I had an older woman for my girlfriend. Her name was Sheila Rosenthal, and she was in 9th grade. I had gone to Sheila's house for a Hanukkah party on Saturday, December 13th, and she was coming to our house for Christmas Eve. After the dreaded Christmas Eve supper of the 7 fishes, we went out to the TV room. We sat on the sofa like 2 lovebirds, holding hands and stealing a few quick, chaste kisses, while we gazed at the screen broadcasting a black and white image of a fire burning in a hearth. The blazing Yule log with a holiday greetings banner above it and Christmas songs playing in the background filled the screen from 5 in the afternoon until about 10 at night. Needless to say, Sheila and I were thrilled with our first TV Christmas. Never mind that we could have moved into the living room where the Christmas tree was lit and a real log blazed in full color in a real fireplace. It just didn't dawn on us. And that is the last story out of Christmas Remembered for this year. We're glad you can join us. We look forward to our story times that we're going to be bringing in 2023. So until next time, stay safe, be healthy, and have a wonderful week. I'll see you in the new year.